All right, so here's what we're going to do. So this is ready to go. Probably should have done this before stream. We're going to take a look at their video on discoverability, and we're going to keep pausing the video, and we're going to chime in on everything. This is how I'm going to do React content on this show. But first order of business here. My experience on YouTube recently has been the reason why I am saying what I'm saying here. So the thing that a lot of these commentators don't talk about is that technology can ruin everything. If the algorithms do not show your content to other people, you don't have an audience. No matter how good your content is, no matter how good your content strategy is, or no matter how many platforms you are on. So in the early days of YouTube, YouTube was more people focused. It was basically the video social media. I got involved in 2006 along with a lot of other YouTube OGs at the time. And I just wasn't interested in growing my channel until this year specifically. It was always a hobby. So I stayed at like 100 subs or whatever while other channels grew and some got big and then shrunk. So, but I've kept an eye on all of this over the years, and I've had differing attitudes towards it all. And that's why I'm here today to chime in on the whole situation with how YouTube operates, how Twitch operates, and to be a hard counter to some of these self-appointed experts out there that are presenting themselves as gurus for channel growth and online media creation. Because I've been around multimedia stuff for a very long time. Audiovisual guy in college. YouTube has been an extension of that kind of sort of experience that I had back then. And so today we're going to look at Creator Insider here. Now, in the early days of my channel, I didn't do anything to try and grow my channel at all. So everybody that has subbed, everybody that's liked what it is that I do over the years has done so completely of their own will. But because of that, what this also means is that YouTube used to do a much better job of introducing you to a new audience. And when we regressed on that front to the point where I was saying if your channel's not explicitly promoted, it's being explicitly buried, that's when that represented a step back for YouTube. Now, here's why all this matters. These platforms need to preserve the idea that you can come in and grow a channel, because if they don't, people are not going to want to make videos on YouTube. They're not going to want to stream. They're not going to want to stream on Twitch. They're not going to want to do whatever. So if you don't have constant talent coming in, you're going to gradually lose talent because people are going to get burnt out and leave, or they're going to give up or whatever. So you always have to have this view among the general public, if you run a platform like this, that you as a regular old Joe can come in and make something from nothing. If you don't have that, you eventually freeze your ability to get new talent. And when the user-generated content creators go away, and all you're left with is commercial content, what's the difference between a platform like YouTube and a platform like Pluto TV, which is literally just television shows? So YouTube loses its concentrated coolness to services like Pluto TV and Hulu, and then why should there even be a YouTube? What makes YouTube special is the user-generated content. And a good way to keep an eye on this is let's see what happens to Dailymotion, because Dailymotion abandoned UGC. You can still upload it, but it won't get any discoverability. It will not get promoted. It's only the commercial stuff that gets promoted. UGC is a walled garden. I'm going to do some poking around with Dailymotion to see how it is in 2020. It used to be a good backup video site, but since Vivendi bought it and put the focus on commercial content, UGC is basically just there. And it represents the dystopian future of YouTube if YouTube doesn't realize that creators matter. And the ability for people to want to make videos matters. Even if YouTube becomes a streaming juggernaut, they have no equal in the world of uploads. But this applies to Twitch as well. And this is why I don't think Twitch will be a nightmare of discoverability forever. Because if Twitch doesn't want to turn into streamer Hulu, there needs to be the appeal that you can go create content there and build something up from nothing. But I haven't seen this kind of thing since early YouTube. So, okay, I've got this queued up, and I've been staring at this product director, whatever she is. I've been staring at her mugshot for long enough while talking about all this. And we're not going to use any music for this. So, this is YouTube's... We're going to start and stop this. This is YouTube's Creator Insider. We're going to use the space bar to start and stop this, and we're going to talk about this whole thing. Now, here's the thing to keep an eye on. I've watched this already, so here's the thing to watch out for. So, YouTube kind of reminds me of Blizzard back in Warlords of Draenor, where they said a lot without saying anything. They talked in circles, very corporate speak, about the state of the game. It was kind of a damage control move. Now remember, under most circumstances, the YouTube algorithm is a black box. So to have any sort of transparency is a break from the norm. Algorithm has basically, in my eyes, become synonymous with people upset about YouTube more so than actual algorithms. So let's take a look at what they have to say here. Keep this all in mind as we check out this video.
Hello, insiders. I'm Patricia. I'm a product manager at YouTube Analytics. And today we're going to talk about some of my favorite topics, analytics, of course, and some of hopefully your favorite topics, the algorithm.
Yes, I like both of those things. This is why I have the insights that I have with regards to my own channels, because I've been watching the numbers for years. Before YouTube severely upgraded their analytics suite to what they have today, where you can do so much stuff through just a browser, I actually had I used the export feature very heavily to download CSVs and run them through Excel and Power Query, as I have a huge background in custom queries and SQL and stuff like that. So it was a fun way to keep using Power Query, even though I haven't had a job that used that in a couple of years now. Still staying current with a lot of what goes on with Power Query, the M language, and some other cool stuff that's used for analytics. But any transparency from YouTube about the algorithm at this point is very, very welcome. I'm just curious what they're going to say.
I'm here today with Rachel, who is going to help us out with some of these questions. Rachel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I've been on the channel before, but I'm Rachel. I work with Patricia on analytics, and I also work with Todd a lot, who you've seen on Discovery. So my job is to help creators understand how Discovery works, how your videos get discovered, and then work with Patricia on how that becomes a feature in analytics.
So, folks, remember the current background when it comes to all of this stuff. The commentators out there are saying that Twitch fails on discoverability. Here's people at YouTube talking a little bit about how the discoverability works on their platform. Are you taking notes, Twitch? Or are you too busy scrambling to try and catch up to the sleeping giant known as YouTube?
So Patricia, you're actually working on something that I've seen before, but it's a new feature that helps creators understand how their videos get discovered. Can you show me what it looks like?
Yeah, definitely. So we've been working together on this feature to, well, help you understand better your video's performance.
Okay, we're actually going to have to flip back and forth to Firefox. I am so going to break a browser in order to show some of this bigger stuff. So this looks cool. People have been choosing this video more often and watching it longer than your other videos when recommended on YouTube, contributing to it to being shown to a wider audience than usual. Good! This is a big step in the right direction, YouTube, because so many people are so frustrated with the algorithm. Like I said, I have a background in computers and technology and stuff, but I hear algorithm used more by disgruntled YouTubers than actual computer algorithms. So it's bizarre, but anyways. Oh, yeah.
And this is actually a new video overview in analytics. I think Connor actually called it out a few weeks ago on a newsflash, so you might have seen that. And what's new about this new analysis is that we really call out front and center two metrics that you've heard Todd and Tom talk about a million times: click-through rate and average view duration.
Now, these two metrics here, click-through rate and average view duration, this is the sort of online marketing stuff that has crossover with YouTube. So click-through rate, of course, is what powers the whole idea of the thumbnail meta, except we see in their own description right here, appeal of topic, title, or thumbnail. So again, I'm wondering if YouTube is rethinking the thumbnail meta because they're even mentioning the title here in the first place. As we've shown on my own channel with the click-through rates and the impression, as it's called, the impressions click-through rate. The videos on my channel that are doing the best have the worst thumbnails. They're from years ago, before everything took off. So this leads to some curious issues here, where how relevant are these numbers and how relevant is the thumbnail meta, which is one of the reasons why I'm keeping an eye on the situation with Ashney Christ, to see how her numbers pan out with that one time that she didn't do a fancy thumbnail. And it's doing better than all of her videos with fancy thumbnails. Because I believe people aren't stupid, and I believe they watch content for content, not necessarily anything superficial like that. And I did chime in on the whole Linus thing years ago when Linus Tech Tips started hamming up the thumbnails. But I'm seriously wondering, especially if you follow YouTube's customer service accounts on Twitter, like @TeamYouTube and stuff, you're going to see what people are complaining to YouTube about. And one of the disciplinary things I keep seeing in the Twitter feed is people whose channels are terminated for spam, scams, and deceptive practices. So all of this adds up to me wondering, is YouTube rethinking the thumbnail meta and how there's just way too much clickbait on the site? Another important note with clickbait and things like in-video advertising is that in-video advertising can get dated. I'm curious what that's going to do to the longevity of YouTube videos on an evergreen platform like YouTube when you have things like out-of-date calls to action or just redundant calls to action, or things such as in-video advertising going out of date. The most timeless YouTube videos right now are the ones that don't necessarily have any of that stuff, so there's nothing to go obsolete. They live and die based on the relevancy of their content. And so if you're talking about something that's not time sensitive, you can have some very serious longevity with YouTube videos to the tune of years, which bring in revenue and get passed around by the algorithm, and you gradually build up a passive income that exists based on things like CPMs and stuff, and remaining advertiser friendly. And you don't have to do anything. When streamers figure this out, if YouTube closes some of these monetization gaps, then absolutely you're going to see a drop-off in streamers because people are going to want to make videos instead. That will be the renaissance that YouTube is looking for with videos versus streaming. And streaming will just be for community events, live events, or other stuff that's better done through a live format, not the current muddied up combination of the two that we see nowadays.
These are super important signals to understand your audience interest in your topic, in your title, and your thumbnail, as well as then your content once they start watching. But we know that these two metrics are not the whole story. So we want to go in a little bit deeper today and understand what are the cases when it's not always about CTR and AVD, as we call it.
So here's the thing, and this is something I talk about with numbers all the time as somebody with some background in analytics and number crunching on an operations level with large companies, working with databases, SQL, Power Query, metrics, and other stuff, operations numbers. Numbers are never, yeah, watch how I am in this camera setup here. I can just uncrop myself here a little. But yeah, numbers are never as important as what's in them. And this applies to things like the click-through rates and other stuff. Or if we just go over to full Firefox here, average view duration. I paused this at such a rotten time. Let's put debate format right and try not to break the show here. I want to put these next to each other in OBS, and we'll just speed up breaking the browser even more by doing this. All right. So yeah, numbers are never as important as what is in them. Yes, your manufacturing facility can make 150 widgets an hour, but what's involved in that? Are people working safely? Are you risking a workman's comp claim? Are you putting your quality at risk because of how fast your machines are going? There's always more to the numbers than the numbers. You always want to do some real world validation of whatever numbers you're crunching. And I'm glad, very glad, that these YouTube folks are talking about this, because I've seen so many, even commentators and whatnot, that go on and on and on about numbers, but they don't talk about real world testing and stuff. That's one of the reasons why the thumbnail meta is blabbered about as much as it is. Oh, yeah, make thumbnails, clickbait thumbnails. Your thumbnails are so important. Da, da, da. Okay, maybe when this was something new, it was relevant and would help grow your channel. But now that everybody does flashy thumbnails on all the big channels, have people become desensitized to it? We continue.
So Rachel, let me just throw a few examples at you and help me explain them.
Sure.
My video is doing super well. I'm getting a ton of views. And now I go and I see on this report that click-through rate is actually as low as it's ever been. Why does this happen?
Okay, folks, just watch the video on YouTube. I have a link to it on Twitter. I have a link to it over on Twitter, and you can actually see the URL in this stream. Well, let's just pop this in. That is correct, right? Let's just pop this into the chat. Load up the video and check it out. I hope that works. And feature YouTube. I could always no. The share button, please. This I know will work. Put that in the chat. Cue this up. If you want to see the text and stuff non-truncated, do that. This is supposed to be like a debate format here, so there's going to be truncated stuff because of how I have everything cropped. Because essentially, this video does look like a Discord call of some sort. And why is it not playing in HD? Oh, it's in 720p. Ah! It's not showing up as HD because YouTube doesn't consider 720p HD anymore. Only 1080 and up. We continue.
Yeah. So I'm really glad you asked that. Click-through rate is a really tricky metric to understand. So a lot of creators, if you go in, you look at your most successful videos, the videos with the most views, those are actually the most likely to have the lowest click-through rate. Those videos are being shown to a really broad audience who are less familiar with you and your content, and it's natural for them to be less likely to click.
So that is very, very important. I'm glad she's bringing that up because, again, demographics. What kind of audience do you want to have? Do you want to have a big audience or a good audience? The answer is you want a good audience. So it may not be the biggest in the world, but they're good people and you have a great time working on your show. Now, if you just send videos to folks that are all casual and stuff like that, you'll get lots of views and stuff like that, maybe make money off of it, but you're not going to see a lot of any real fans, so to speak, among these folks. Maybe there are people on YouTube that found your video via the search box or something like that. So I think that's one of the reasons why the washer and dryer video that I have does so well on the numbers side of things, but on the people side of things, the tech videos have had a rip-roaring following over the years. And these are people that are more likely to watch other types of content and stuff. Not recently, but in the early days of the channel, as I grew the channel via people liking my content, subscribing and watching videos, I could change from computers to gaming and stuff and not lose lose views because those were good people. They were people that weren't just interested in one little thing. Although I do wonder with how YouTube has become a mature product nowadays, how does that affect the demographics of who's available to even follow your channel in the first place? Are we getting away from the human connections that used to exist when YouTube was more of a community? I believe the answer to that is yes.
And on the other hand, some of your smaller videos that were shown to a really relevant, small, targeted audience are the most likely to click. And so those might have a really high click-through rate.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I have computer videos with no attempt at a thumbnail whatsoever with a higher CTR than most of my main series videos. And most of the reason why I have title screen thumbnails is just to have some kind of nice looking labeling. It's not necessarily, I don't get caught up in the clickbait meta, and I don't want to. Because again, I wonder if YouTube will change their mind and start issuing community guideline strikes and things like that for going overboard with the clickbait meta that people think is basically running YouTube these days. I'm not convinced of that.
Todd sometimes refers to this as a paradox. And this isn't a problem for our discovery systems because we actually have predictions where we can tell how likely an individual user is to click and watch a given video. Now, however, it does make it hard sometimes for creators to interpret your video performance and if your title and thumbnails are working well. And so what we recommend there is to always look at a combination of your click-through rate and your impressions. And this new feature that Patricia has so kindly worked and developed hard to give you will help call that out for you and when to pay attention to when your video might be performing and when that's due to your title or thumbnail or not. In the long term, we hope to have A/B thumbnail testing eventually that will help give you even more concrete answers.
Okay, here's another one.
Okay, so A/B thumbnail testing. This came up in the article that let link to this video that introduced me to this video. I'm very surprised this didn't pop up on my creator dashboard on YouTube here. But one of the things, the A/B thumbnail testing, what I'd like to see, and this might help the people that aren't as into the numbers as I am, and running spreadsheets and graphs and all kinds of other stuff and looking for statistical significance and stuff like that. One of the things that I'd like to see other people, for the sake of others who aren't into this stuff as much, is something like what we saw in the main dashboard at the beginning of the video. A more plain English description of why a video was doing well. It doesn't have to be A and B thumbnail testing. It can also be, what about the titles and stuff like that? I don't know if the systems can pick up on everything. But if you back off on thumbnails and basically try to have titles as showing what your video's about, especially with the evolving ideas towards clickbait and stuff like that, when that meta changes and people are more interested in content rather than you trying to get them to click on the video because of the title or the thumbnail, how can you track that? And you can see when these changes are happening among the general public, so you know that, yeah, it's time to say goodbye to this meta and watch these people that are clickbaiting themselves to death collapse because their views are going to plummet because everybody's sick of all of this arm-twisting garbage to get people to click on a video.
I've heard from creators that are very aware that their click-through rate and average view duration are important metrics, and they are concerned that by getting a lot of traffic, let's say from external websites or Google search, that their average view duration is actually dropping and they're having shorter views, and that this will ultimately hurt their performance on home and on Watch Next.
So this is a very important thing here, is the whole external side of things. And this is one of the reasons why I'm skeptical of some of these things I've heard people say, that the tag system might be getting deprecated on YouTube. And I'm even skeptical of YouTube's own little pop-up, which is no longer there, by the way, in YouTube Studio, that says tags are minimally effective in helping your videos get discovered. Because this is one of the problems with YouTube in general, is that YouTube has a lot of proprietary stuff, but Google, as a search engine, can crawl YouTube. So it's possible for people to find your videos because they Google search something. So you have to keep that in mind. Just because you're involved in a platform doesn't mean that the platform is the only way that your content can get discovered. So this is also a thing with Dailymotion. Dailymotion turned UGC, user-generated content, into a walled garden. I'm curious how well Dailymotion videos would do embedded in blog entries that search engines can crawl. So even if Dailymotion doesn't do much, the blog entries will put them in search results.
What do we have to say about that?
Yeah, so I know this concerns a lot of creators when they see those overall metrics dropping. And as we spoke about before, that's not always a bad thing. So in Discovery, we actually look at how a video performs in the context it's shown. So when a video is shown on home, how does it perform there? And home and Watch Next each have their own ranking models. So in the home example, we're looking at when we're recommending a video on home to a given user, how likely that user is to click, watch, and enjoy that video, in addition to factors like personalization, like how much that user already watches that channel or topic.
This is part of the reason why I don't really have much of a problem with some of the data collection going on, because what all of these social media platforms are essentially trying to do is they're trying to teach computers to learn about people and recommend stuff that they're going to be interested in. It'll get a little creepy at times on the advertising side when you search for something and now you're going to 5 or 6 different websites and now you're seeing ads for it everywhere you go. But in terms of not spending forever trying to find something to watch on a platform like YouTube or Twitch, this technology is actually our ticket to people being matched up with stuff they like, content they like, and eventually creators they like. And then when they learn that so-and-so's on XYZ platforms, they can go check out some of their other social media involvement as well and see what exactly these folks are up to.
So overall, click-through rate and average view duration is a pretty good indicator about how your video is doing in general. but it definitely doesn't cover all cases. And each surface actually has their own ranking model. So having more
I was wondering why this was lagging so much when I watched it. Apologies for the slow home Wi-Fi. Yeah, I was going to say, is this done through Discord or Google Hangouts or something like that? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Wi-Fi. Wireless ain't everything, no matter how good AC technology gets. We continue.
traffic from external is not going to hurt your discovery or how your video is being recommended in home or watch next. Sometimes you have to do deep dives into individual traffic sources.
This is actually presentation 101 here. When you're broadcasting over the internet, audio is more important than video. Because, yeah, you can glitch out the picture and everything. Ooh, she'll look smudgy for a couple of seconds. But if the audio's cutting out, that's when it gets annoying.
The good thing about the new module is that we actually already filter out click-through rate and average view duration just for home and suggested, so you don't have to worry about the effects of external and other sources on those two metrics. Now, let's take another case. Video length. We've heard from a bunch of you that you think it's not fair that we compare average view duration for videos that are of different lengths. What do we have to say about that, Rachel?
So this is why focus on average view duration versus average percentage viewed. Very valid point, because there are multiple lengths of content on YouTube. And it's going to be very interesting if TikTok crashes and burns, and now there's all these people that are using TikTok that want to find short form content somewhere else. Can YouTube offer a TikTok replacement that brings these people back to watching lots of short videos on YouTube? But then, of course, you have the other extreme, 10 hours of this ASMR thing, stuff like that. And so that's part of it as well. One of the things that people have been concerned about on the creator side is, do I have to make gigantic videos because of average view durations affecting discoverability on YouTube?
Yeah, so in discovery, we actually look at both relative and absolute watch time. Those are both meaningful signals on how your videos are going to be recommended. You would still need to do some cross-referencing, even if we swapped out average view duration for average percentage viewed, because it's easier for short videos to hit a really high amount of average percentage watched.
And again, it's numbers versus percentages. So, for example, you can say that you raised your revenue by 15% year over year. But when you get back to the hard numbers, you made $1 in 2019 and you made 15 cents in 2020. So again, the mathematics of it all has its ups and downs. An important note too, with internal versus external, I'm very curious about if YouTube can track external stuff separately. So you can see if maybe some of your tags, for example, are pinging better with search engines and stuff like that, as opposed to the internal YouTube systems. Because there's really 3 tiers of how your content is going to get discovered. There's 3 tiers of how your content's going to get discovered. Nope, that's my dashboard there. There we go. There's 3 tiers of how your content gets discovered. So first, you're going to talk the internal stuff that's specific to YouTube. And I'm talking like the subscription system, people actually looking for your content or similar content. The second would be the search box, which is more topical. So you do a video about a topic that a lot of people search for and you get picked up in the results and people discover you that way. They might not be as interested in the ongoing narrative of your channel, but they are going to, if you do videos about a certain topic, they'll show up that way. And then the third is, of course, external, which is stuff other than YouTube. So things like Google search results and things like that. So I think your best audience will come from that first tier, and you want to take people from the second tier and try and move them into the first tier if they have interests that are similar to yours. But that's anything dealing with people like this is inherently going to be complicated. We continue.
We can only focus creators on so many metrics, and we chose average view duration because how much time somebody spends with you and your content is a really strong indicator of interest. That being said, we want videos of all lengths to succeed on YouTube and get discovered.
So, an important note there, remember, technology is the wild card here, and technology and people can be completely different things. So, let's suppose you have a bunch of videos getting a ton of average view duration because somebody that just wants to play something in the background has YouTube on autoplay and it's cycling through your videos. That's not exactly the kind of engagement that'll build a fan base or a community, but it'll send your numbers through the roof. So again, numbers are never as important as what's in them. And ultimately, the real world results of those numbers matter more than the numbers themselves. I've seen creator after creator after creator after creator after creator on YouTube get disgruntled to the point where they want to try other platforms because they're sick and tired of watching their channel decline. They used to get 500 views a video, now they get 100 views a video. And it seems like YouTube's systems just stop caring about you when you're no longer a new channel.
Okay, so here's another one we get very frequently. Click-through rate is fine, average view duration is also fine, yet the video is still underperforming. For sure, there must be some issue with the algorithm. What's going on here?
So this is also the most common question that I receive from creators. And click-through rate and average view duration are one of dozens of signals that we will use for search and discovery. But there's also a lot of other factors that are going to influence how many impressions your videos get and how many people watch them. So I'm going to talk about 3 of them: competition, topic interest, and seasonality. So competition is one factor that can influence your impressions, and that is, are viewers choosing to watch more of other videos outside of your channel on our platform? So high competition can also limit the amount of time that people are spending with you in your own content.
So with the competition thing, I keep pausing this at all the wrong times. Oh man, apologies to these YouTube folks. So blink. This is where we get into what I consider a very sad little excuse. People like, well, YouTube's oversaturated. I've heard that one for many, many, many years. YouTube's oversaturated. Well, guess what? The entire time YouTube has existed, it's been oversaturated. The minute one person does something successful, everybody wants to get in on it. And there's only so many people to watch that content. So, AVGN gets successful in any way, shape, or form. Suddenly, there's a bazillion other folks doing angry reviews, and then even more people doing video game reviews in general. Then Let's Plays come along, and next thing you know, yeah. So, what matters in terms of the declining experience on YouTube is the people connection. You used to be able to organically grow a fan base, and now you get what? I've recently gone through on a banning spree and banned a lot of spam bots because a lot of the engagement I was getting on my videos was spammers misusing the new one-click response feature to send literally the same messages over and over again, like good video, wanna be friends, wanna be YouTube friends, blah, blah, blah. The human side of it is what is missing on YouTube nowadays. YouTube needs to return to its roots and be more of a community, because otherwise they will devolve into something like Dailymotion or turn into Hulu when the UGC folks give up and leave. And then what makes them special? Why should people watch them instead of Hulu or Pluto TV or something?
The other one is topic interest. So some people on YouTube will watch videos about a really niche topic, and some topics have bigger audience sizes than others. For example, soccer. There are more people in the world interested in soccer than there are in golf. Sometimes soccer videos will get more views than golf, and that's not because our algorithm has a preference for soccer videos. It's just it has a larger potential audience size for that kind of topic.
And that's exactly the point there with this. Remember, there's 2 elements to all of this. There's people and there's technology. People and technology, they both go together. So the people side can be perfect, but the technology doesn't work, and the technology can do its job, but the people aren't doing the right thing. That's one of the reasons why, if people are upset about growing because they can't be the next large creator on any platform, they should realize a lot of these large creators that are household names now were just in the right place at the right time. All the stars aligned for them. Many of them were persistently creating content. It was that one time when they did the right thing at the right time that was their big break, that led to what they are today. And they flipped from being struggling content creator with a small community, maybe, to they can pretty much do whatever they want, and they'll get plenty of people that want to, that they'll get plenty of supportive fans that will allow them to do the stuff full time. So sometimes it is a crapshoot, and there is random chance and RNG involved. There are people out there that want to deny that a lot of times we are not in as control of our destiny as we like to think we are. And that's why what matters is what you can control. So you can't control what people do with your content or whether anybody even watches it. What you can control is knowing that you did your best and you made the best stuff that you could. So that way, if technology fails and nobody is introduced to your stuff, then at least you did what you could do. And if the people are unresponsive, you still did what you could do. It was not you that was the problem. It was either the people or the technology. And that's really the most you can do, is not be part of the problem here.
The other one is seasonality, and that gets into platform level trends about how many people are actually on YouTube at different times of year watching videos. Another key moment where we get a lot of these complaints is September, when people are starting to go back to school and you see more viewership go towards the weekends. So I'd say other factors that can influence impressions are competition, potential audience size and topic interest, and seasonality.
So the whole weekend thing, though, by the way, is a smokescreen for demographics. You're talking younger demographics going back to school and more stuff happening on the weekends. Not so much the case when you're someone working full-time and you're working during the summer as well.
So we know that even if click-through rate and average view duration are high, there are other reasons why your video might be performing just as usual or perhaps underperforming. Okay, so one final piece of feedback that we keep getting from all of you is around wanting to compare click-through rate and average view duration, not with yourself and your past videos, but with other channels similar to yours. This is actually something that we're looking into, and hopefully we'll have more to share in another sneak peek coming soon.
I want to see that, because I've noted the demographics differences between MultimediaJay and LGR, Lazy Game Reviews. I've liked his audience, that he has a supportive audience that supports him when he flips from hardware to software and back. So he can go from hardware tinkering to gaming videos and not lose an audience. Whereas me, forget it. Tiniest thing changes, even if it stays tech videos and people stop watching. So an A-B comparison, I would love to be able to not only do an A-B comparison, but even compare myself to other creators that I specify. So if I want to, say, have a channel that's similar to so-and-so, I want to be able to compare numbers with so-and-so. I don't know how much of a privacy issue any of this would be, but if there's going to be comparison to similar channels, it would actually be cool if we could have some more openness with the numbers. Kind of like how on the Twitch side of things, there's Sully Gnome for looking at various analytics related to Twitch streamers. I would love to see a YouTube version of that. But if a third party, if we're not talking about a third party developing something like that, I want to see YouTube offer something like this. So you can see, okay, if I want to become the next Review Tech USA or the next PewDiePie or the next Boogie2988, how do my numbers compare or something like that? I don't know if YouTube will ever go into that level of detail, but it would be really cool to see.
So stay tuned for that. Yeah, so a few of you already have this new feature on your video overviews. If you do have it, please check it out and send us feedback with that blue link, send feedback. The whole team reads everything you have to say to us, from engineers to designers to myself. So we really, really appreciate that. Keep it coming. And if you have any other questions or comments, just leave them in the comment section below. Rachel, anything else to say?
Thanks for watching. And we really, as Patricia said, appreciate your feedback that helps us improve these products for all creators. So keep it real.
Oh, autoplay is on. Stop. Okay. Yeah, just want to get that off the screen before any wacko thumbnails might pop up. we don't want this to go back to thumbnails being the issue again. YouTubers lied. How much money does my small 9,000 subscriber YouTube channel make? Whatever. See, yeah, it's 7 incomes anyone can start. The decline of Blizzard. Yeah. So it's an interesting video per se. Very interesting video about discoverability, but what matters here is the transparency. So the truth of the matter is that as a YouTuber myself, I've seen YouTube constantly doing stuff under the hood. Constantly. To the point where certain features were coming up and going, were up and down on a very regular basis. So it's nice to see YouTube doing stuff, but it's also a sign of a struggling platform. That plus the increase in the ads and everything. It's also a sign of a struggling platform when they're making more changes than ever before, because the best businesses don't have to be constantly spending money making changes. So what they have works the best and they can just stick with it for a while. So there's some struggle going on somewhere at YouTube, and I think some of it might be because some of the brass is figuring out what it is that I'm talking about here, that it's the public's view of the service will determine the value of their advertising dollars, whether people are making content, whether people are watching. It's all intertwined together. You can't blow off the UGC people. You can't blow off the independent creators. It just doesn't work. But it was nice to see some people at YouTube actually talk about discoverability and things like that.